All right. Okay. That's an old joke. All right. Let's get started. All right. So the conclusion from yesterday's, here we go. The conclusion from yesterday's shir, yesterday's tshuva, is that you have to make a parapet around your swimming pool without, it seems to be no equivocation there. Okay. Mitaveh chalokeach la'atzmo chelek midimei hamekach. A broker who takes for himself a portion of the purchase. Let's see. Mitavech is usually a broker, a middleman. Yeah. Ani osek b'tivuch. Let me just see the official translation of a mitavech. It's one of those more modern Hebrew words. A broker. I got it. Okay. Ani osek b'tivuch upamim shahamocher rotzeh ala dira ledugma million shekel. So I engage in brokerage. Let's say you could have a situation, let's say, for example, the seller of the apartment wants 1,000,000 shekels. But I'm able to convince the buyer to purchase it for 1.1 instead of 1,000,000. האם במקרה כזה מותר לי לומר למוכר שהקונה מוכן לשלם 1,000,000 בבקשתו ואת 100,000 לקחת לעצמי? Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I want to make a little side hustle, right? I want to make 10% on the brokerage. So the seller is happy. He's going to get his 1,000,000 shekel. The buyer is willing to pay 1.1. Am I allowed to do that? Can I keep that money for myself? Now, obviously, I don't think this would fly in any legal system today. The broker would have to reveal everything that he's doing, unless, it almost sounds like the old days when people would get the shopping bag in the closet filled with cash and then they would buy a house that way. It just doesn't work that way anymore. If there's got to be paperwork and everything like that. So I'm not even sure why this is even a shaila, but let's see. Pashut sha'asr la'asot davar kazeh v'yesh bazeh mishum isur geneva. So it is obvious that it is usher to do something like that, and it involves geneva. Umetavecha osakach yesh lo din ganav u'pasul le'edus. And the guy probably feels really bad. He even asked the shaila. So a broker who does something like this, for a friend, right? Yeah, asking for a friend. A broker who does this has the status of a ganav, and he's pasul le'edus. Ki hasikum shahamocher mevakesh. Zehu asikum shetzarich hakoneh l'shalem v'lo me'ever lekach. He says the amount that the seller is asking is the amount that the buyer is supposed to pay, and not anything more. V'chol shekel yoter shalom miyuad avur hamocher. Any shekel above that stipulated purchase price that is not designated for the seller, that it's taken from the buyer without his knowledge, involves a prohibition of geneva. Marv, can you think of a situation where this could happen under legal circumstances?
Yeah, so first of all, it could be a criminal offense also, theft over $5 or whatever, and or fraud. But there are cases where you can have the commission generally at the common law, the judgment law, would be implied contract. There could have been a discussion about this before, and we could have said, okay, there's an implied term of the contract between you and me. I'm your broker, your agent, and you're my principal. And by way of contract, I agree, like you were saying, the paperwork is an explicit contract. There would be paperwork done all the time, agreements of purchase and sale. There's commission references in there as well. Has to be in writing, has to be signed, and that's how we set it up today. But there could, in the absence of that in Ontario, can't have commission payable unless it's in writing, sign the whole thing.
Well, I could think of maybe, let's say a broker says to this guy, to the buyer, he says, list price is $1,000,000, but listen to me, there are 10 other people who are about to put down a bid. I can get you the inside track. Give me 10,000 cash, and I'll make sure that you're the one who gets in.
Right, so one theory of maybe make an argument in his favor would be implied contract. The other would be what they call unjust enrichment or restitution, which is if you and I have you stand by while I paint your house and you're smoking a cigar on your deck and watch me paint your house, and then I say to you afterwards, I'd like you to pay me for my services, and you say, I didn't agree. Whatever, the answer is you've been benefited, I suffered a detriment, and there's no just reason why you should retain the benefit. If the circumstances with the commission are the same, we had this discussion, you sat by, I sold the house for you, bought the buyer, it's unjust, you've been unjustly enriched. So equity, not contract law or common law, comes to help and said, this circumstance is unconscionable, it's not fair, that you should not pay me the money, because I was the one who made the shit up, I was the one who did.
Right, so the broker should certainly get paid a brokerage. The question at hand is, he's deceiving the seller by saying that he was able to get $1 million on his purchase price, and the broker's entitled to a percentage of the $1 million.
So if you deceive them, then it's not unjust, it's not unfair, the whole thing. So the balance then goes back and says, no, you're not entitled to anything. But those would be the two theories, contract and unjust.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, all right. Anyway, there are some brokers who rationalize to themselves, and they say, it's as if they are the buyer of the apartment for $1 million, and then they resell it at 1.1. And that's the way I'm viewing it. In other words, I'm not just a broker, but I'm a middleman as far as buying and selling. And that's, so I can sell it for whatever I want. If I can get more for it, I can get 1.1 for it instead of $1 million. Why shouldn't I, enrich myself from that additional resale? Zohi ta'ut gedola, v'rak ta'anat hayetzer hara mikama sibot. This is a huge error, and it is an argument that is made by the Yetzer Hara for a number of reasons. Aleph, im hu hakoneh meharishon u'mocher lasheni, madua hu lokeach demei tivuch. First of all, then you're double dipping. Why should you get your brokerage fee? In other words, the 100 grand shekel that you're taking extra, if you're actually a reseller, then you shouldn't be entitled to brokerage fees on top of that. So that's geneva. Number two, lo shayach lomar shuhu hakoneh kiven she'en kan shum kinyan ben hatzdadim v'lo chozeh. Furthermore, there's no purchase, there's no contract. You're not listed as a buyer, as a first buyer. Upashut shimtiya hafara shel hachozeh hametavech yitnaer mikol achrayut v'yikasher ben hakoneh lamocher. And obviously, if the deal would be broken for some reason, the broker would not be on the hook to come up with the $1 million. So clearly, this is not a legal sale to the broker. And therefore, it's obvious that it's usher for him to do this, to pocket cash on the side. And he's got to give whatever the buyer gives to him as far as funds. He has to transfer those funds directly to the seller without skimming anything off. And he's only entitled to his brokerage fee. V'yesh lahazir et hakoneh v'et hamocher, sha'alehem l'shalem et demei hativuch, afilu im ha'iska ne'esta b'kalut. And you also have to give a very stern warning to both buyer and seller to make sure they don't forget the broker. In other words, it could go the other way as well. Let's say the seller and buyer say to themselves, hey, the broker really did nothing. I remember we went to high school together. We could have done this deal without the broker. Why should we have to pay him anything? Okay. He says, if the deal goes by very smoothly and there's very little effort on behalf of the broker, you can't use that as an argument to cut the broker out of his fee. Upa'amim yesh anashim mitchamkim me ha'hitchayvut l'shalem lametavech Oh, also important. There are times when sometimes people try to slip away or slip out of their obligation to pay the broker, or sometimes they do the same thing with the shadchan. They say the shadchan, what did they really do? This was an easy shidduch. It was love at first sight. The families got together. They know each other. The shadchan just mentioned the name and he arranged for them to call each other. Why should we pay the shadchanas geld? Umisha osekain over iser shel oshek schar sachir sherabotenu amru shuhu iser chamor ma'od. Anyone who does this is violating the prohibition of oppressing the laborer, the day laborer, which we've learned a lot about in the past, that you have to pay the laborer on time. And our rabbis say that that's a very serious prohibition. And therefore they have to pay the entire brokerage amount at the end of the transaction. Okay. Now, yeah, as we learned in the Shulchan Aruch previously, that anyone who withholds the wages of a laborer is violating 5 negative commandments and 1 positive commandment, and it is as if he's taking the soul of the laborer because he's relying on that. This is a very short tshuva. We haven't really seen a tshuva yet on shadchanas fee, there recently was. Anyone ever listen to this podcast called Headlines? Have you heard of it? By Rabbi David Lichtenstein. There was one episode where he talked about shadchanas, and so I'm thinking about listening to it and maybe giving a shir about it, because it is an important issue. My wife deals with shadchanas a lot, shidduchim, and a lot of times she's merely a party to the shidduch, but not the deal closer. And that also gets into questions like who's considered to be the shadchan, who's the one who really is the. The next one is about a shadchan. So maybe we'll let's get into that. We did talk a little bit about shadchanas fees when the engagement is broken, and we talked about how. Remember, we did a tshuva about that. And we talked about how shadchanas fees are only payable once the wedding takes place. So yeah.
Engagement, though.
No, it's when it's well, let me put it this way. It may be due at the engagement, but the families are entitled to a refund if they break the engagement. So that if they don't make it to the chuppah, then the shadchanas is refundable. If they make it to the chuppah and then the next week they get divorced, you're not entitled to a refund. That's what we learned. No. It's like you paid for the wedding. You paid for the wedding and everyone ate the food and everyone had a good time. The couple got divorced a week later. But that doesn't mean that you get a refund on the cost of the wedding. You similarly are not entitled to shadchanas to be returned.
You also don't give you back the gifts.
The gifts do have to be returned. I think halachically even the gifts have to be returned if it was a very short wedding.
Really?
I think so, and I also think that the ring has to be returned as well. At least that's the minhag, that the engagement ring and the wedding ring are returned.
When I say the gifts, I mean from the guests.
I understand what you're saying.
I thought from each other, from the boy and girl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all the gifts have to be returned.
It's the same situation with employment headhunters. Somebody goes to a headhunter like Victor and Angela, on their show.
Uh-huh.
The employer will pay them a commission for making a shit up between an employee and them.
Yeah.
But it's not payable for 3 months after, they have to be in the employment job
For 3 months, yeah.
before it's payable.
But that's explicitly written.
That's explicitly written, but that's the deal, right? Like, you know, it's enough, he gave us somebody, let's see if they're a loser.
Right.
Yeah.
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 3 months is a short time.
Yeah. And then they turn them.
It's a 1-year probation.
Just pretend you're someone else for 3 months. Yeah. Okay. She'ela. Chaverta shel Rachel hetzia la shiduch. Ula'achar ha'erisin shilma la Rachel es demei hashadchanas. Okay, Rachel's friend presented her with an idea for a young man for a shidduch. And it was like, you know, they hit it off really well and they got engaged. Ula'achar ha'erisin shilma la Rachel es demei hashadchanas. So Rachel paid her the shadchanas fee after the engagement. Aval lifnei hachatuna hitbatel hashiduch. But the engagement, unfortunately, was broken before the wedding. Does the friend have to return the shadchanas fee? So that's the question. We did learn about this, but let's see how he goes through this tshuva.
If she's a shadchan or she's just a friend, because do you need to pay to a friend or a shadchan?
So implicit in this she'ila is, yes, you do have to pay shadchanas to a person who's not a professional shadchan.
And you pay the same fee like dealing with a professional shadchan?
Yeah, whatever. Well, the fees vary wildly. They will vary wildly. Some shadchanim charge $25,000.
Wow.
Yeah, like they deal with high. What is it?
High
High-worth cases, high volatility cases, you know, like this high-risk cases, like yeah, high-maintenance cases. Yeah. So there are shadchanim I know that charge $25,000, and sometimes their attitudes are very strident. So like, I'm worth every penny, you know.
What do they do extra?
They wash your what do they do extra? The extra work they do is that they deal with high worth people and they weed through, you know, some of the riffraff for you, and they bring you only the top quality people, which means good family, lots of money, et cetera, et cetera. So just to answer your question, Mordechai, it really all depends on what the standard would be. You'd have to come up with some amount. If no amount is stipulated, the shadchan can't say, well, I'm taking you to Beis Din because you only gave me $2,000 and I'm entitled to much more than that.
But this has to be stipulated before.
It has to be stipulated in advance that if the shidduch works out, I expect X number of dollars. If no dollar amount has been stipulated, they can't come with recriminations afterwards if they're unhappy, unless there's a certain minimum standard that no shadchan gets less than X. And that probably is somewhere around $2,500 to $5,000. I don't know what the amount is, but
It's
40% more.
Well, now it's 40% more. It used to be 1-to-1.
It's international currency,
Yeah.
international views.
Correct. Thank you.
okay, hashadchan v'hamitavech din echad lahem. So a broker and a shadchan have the same halachic status, because really, when you think about it, a shadchan is a broker. They're dealing in goods for sale. Okay. Kishar poel sha'asa et avodato shemagia lo tashlum, just like any other worker who works faithfully and is entitled to compensation. Kain gam hashadchan. So the shadchan is that way also. So he actually tells us, this is some good sources. The law of paying a shadchan is explained in many places. He says, I refer you to the Ramah in Choshen Mishpat. And there's actually, he gives us 3 different places in the Shulchan Aruch where shadchanas is listed as something that is an obligatory fee.
two shotguns, working together?
Yes.
The boy and the girl, they each have like a shotgun and must somehow connect and have
They
to
work
split.
together. So the question is right. So who's the closer? Yeah. So I don't know. This is the question that sometimes you have to split the shadchanas fee between two people who worked, both worked on the shidduch from both ends.
But if the boy's parents spoke to this one and the girl's parents spoke to this one, and each asked for $2,500, then they get paid their number. When
Presumably so. You also have situations. I know that a friendship was broken because a woman, this happened in our community, a woman recommended a certain young man for a shidduch. And the young man then got word to the mother of the girl, who the first shadchan was in touch with, that he likes to work with so-and-so as the shadchan, and not this woman. Okay? In other words, this woman was the one who presented the name and said, I can broker this deal.
no,
And she presented it to the mother of the girl. The mother of the girl was then, contacted and said, I'm representing the boy. It was a different person. And this is who the boy wants to go through. And so she said, okay, fine. If the family of the boy wants to go through this woman, that's fine. And she had to notify the other woman that they want to go through this other woman. And she got very insulted, and they don't speak to each other anymore. And so it's like, it can be very touchy. It's like anyway. All right. So
In the agreement of purchase and sale for land in Ontario, the seller's agent has an agent you have to pay commission to. And then the buyer will often come with an agent too and introduce and make the deal happen.
and they
In that
split.
case,
They split.
It's usually 5%.
Yeah.
2.5 and 2.
Well, brokerage is 5% here in Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay, in California it's 6%. Yeah,
it used to
interesting.
be 6 here.
It used to be 6, really.
Competition brought it down. It's even less than 5 sometimes.
It doesn't have to be 5. You can negotiate it down to 3.5, 4, whatever. It's negotiable.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so let us go on. The alpha pisha avodaso muetes uscharo meruba. Now, even though there may be a small amount of work to do in certain cases, in other words, a lot of times the shadchan is working hours upon hours upon hours. He or she is on the phone with the girl. She's on the phone with the boy. She's giving them tips. She's explaining this is what he must have meant when he said this. And maybe we should speak to your Rav. And they get the Rav involved in the back and forth, back and forth. And then there are other times when it's just one simple phone call. He wants to take you out. Would you be interested? She says, yes, I'm available such and such a date. She gets back to the boy and says, she's available such and such a date. How's it? You guys go? Fine. They go out. They hit it off. They call her both back after the date, so they want to continue. She says, great, let me know. We'll set it up. And everything goes like clockwork until they get engaged. But so there's some high maintenance cases and some very low maintenance cases. Lo gara merofe shemekabel harbe kesef avur bedika shel kama dakot. But that's no different from a doctor who gets paid his regular fee, even if that particular patient is very low maintenance, right? In other words, there's a certain scale or whatever it is for a patient visit. Some of them are very stressful and require a lot of work, complex, yeah. And some are very like that, some achaya. Like I had allocated 15 minutes for this appointment. It took me 5 minutes to diagnose the problem, another 30 seconds to write a prescription. Shalom al Yisrael, and we're done. But I'm still entitled to the same fee, right? So, ve'afal pi shelo po'alu b'meshach hamasa u'matan. He says, even though they didn't, v'hazug atzmo histadru b'kochot atzmam, even though there was not a lot of work for the broker to do because the couple decided to, at some point, to do most of the legwork themselves, as far as setting up the date and things like that. Like they felt so comfortable with each other that, after the second date, the guy said, is it okay if I just call you and we can just set up the third date ourselves, right? You still have to pay the shadchan whatever was agreed upon. And if the shadchan, when she introduced the boy, said, I have a wonderful boy for you, but I just want to let you know, I do take shadchanis, and I am a professional shadchan, and my fee is, 10,000 shekels or whatever it is. Are you okay with that? I just want to make sure, Vim lo sikmu itam yitnu lahem keminhag hamakom. And if there was no fee set up in advance, then you go according to minhag hamakom. Does anyone know what the minhag hamakom here is in Canada? I think it's around $2,000. I have to ask my wife. $2,000 Canadian. I don't know where Mordechai. Maybe Mordechai's in different circles from. Yeah, in pesos. Yeah, yeah. But it could be he's right. It could be they expect 2,000 US. I don't know. Vim ein minhag kavua, and if there is no set custom, then latet sikum misuyam ela kol echad notein sikum kefi da'ato, and everyone is given the opportunity to give whatever they feel is appropriate. Yishalmu et hamechir haminimum she'anashim notim. You have to at least give the minimal amount that people give. Like what's like the no less than fee that people give? And I would venture to say that it's a 4-figure sum, So I don't know what that amount is here in Canada. It's probably not less than $1,000. Now, he says, let's say the boy and the girl did not consult with the shadchan first and ask for their services. Let's say the shadchan was the one who, on his own volition, solicited the boy and the girl. And he says, I have a great shadchan for you. He says, I have a great shadchan for you. A great shidduch for you. I have a great shidduch for you. And then when he presented the name, the boy and the girl happened to see each other and just, schmoozed with each other. And this, because of the shadchan, discovered that each one was available and interested. He says, Trichim l'shalim lo etzcharo kevin sheim hayu me'unyanim b'hatzah. They still have to pay the shadchan because they were interested in talking to him. In other words, they listened to what he had to say. We're assuming, like the parents we're talking about. The parents were the ones, he calls the parents of the girl, usually you call the parents of the boy first. That's the correct protocol because the assumption is the girl's more sensitive. So you would rather reject the boy or reveal rejection to the boy than reveal rejection to the girl. Boys are more particular than girls are also as a general rule, as far as appearance, as far as slimness, and things like that. So it's a sad reality. What can I tell you? It's just the reality. So what usually in the world of shidduchim, the way it goes is that you present an idea to a boy, and he says, "Oh, thank you very much. Let me look into it." And you wait usually until the boy does his research and expresses interest. And then if he says, yeah, I am interested, you then present it to the girl. But in a situation, sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes the shadchan will go to both parties pretty much at the same time. And he'll say, I have the wonderful boy, wonderful girl. And then the families will look into it and the kids will meet at someone else's wedding. And then they'll sit down and start schmoozing. You still have to pay the shadchan in that case. We'll continue.
Rabbi,
It's a shame tomorrow.